Hey, Revenue Radio. Welcome to today's episode. Finally, I'm joined by one of the powerhouse CROs at our company, the one and only, as of today, female CRO who gets to power with me on client engagements. She's been such a delight to have here. And I'm going to introduce you to Paralee. Paralee, welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, well, this is your debut. I hope it's not your last time. Okay, I'll go easy on you so that you come back. But we're talking about a good topic that people need to bring more awareness to, and that's women in executive positions. We're both married with children, and I have 2 children. I have my son, and then I have this company. Paralee has 2 legitimate children, which is fantastic. But we're going to talk today and just expose how we were able to get on this path. There are a lot of women that struggle. They feel like they have to choose between the career or they choose between having the family. I think that there is a lack of women who are able to successfully model what this looks like. I think that some try and then get burnt out, fatigued, or something shifts in the family like it did with COVID. And then it's default, like the woman goes back home to care for the children. There was a mass exodus of women from the workforce with COVID, but you also have things like maybe it's a very high performing executive, then they get pregnant and they're trying to figure out like, how do I do this? It's hard being pregnant and working. That's like a whole episode in itself. We can talk a little bit about it today. I've shared with the listeners how I had it modeled for me starting at age 22. I was a district sales assistant and there were 3 or 4 top 10 reps, women on the team. So ever since I stepped foot into a professional career, I've had it modeled for me. I never once didn't think that I could do it. And I look back, so many of the people in my career have been men, and they've modeled, like my mentors and managers, I should say that, were men. And so I saw them model some of the leadership, and then I saw these high-performing sales women. And so I just combined the two, and I've just been, I don't know, like a bull in a china shop, just grabbing whatever opportunity, but I never thought I couldn't do it. What was your trajectory? Just share with us how it started in your professional career and what some of those pivotal points were.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it started before my professional career. I had 2 working parents. I saw my mother being a top performer as a public school teacher, day in, day out, and raising 7 kids to boot. Yeah. And she is so inspirational to me. She's so powerful. She's so intelligent. And she never let anybody tell her that she couldn't do something. And so I always knew that's a possibility. And I never saw other people, aside from my father, agree with her, maybe. You know, she was always a little bit like a bull in a china shop. Because I grew up in the South. That's not a very traditional women's role. And I went to college in the South, nearly married a man with that same kind of thing. And then I went to Spain. And I met my now husband, and he had that same personality. They say always you marry your dad or your mom. I married my mom and my husband. He is so contrary to most people, and he believes everyone should be that way. And so it gave me the confidence that I didn't have to do anything that anybody said I had to do. And the best example of that is when I was applying for my first leadership role. And I was going up against several other men for this director of marketing role at a marketing software company. And I was scared. I'd never managed anybody. And here I was going to take over a team of people who'd just gone through a riff.
Yeah.
So these people were desperate for management and for strategy and vision. And I was like, I know I can do it. I'm just scared. I'm not qualified. And my husband said, Paralee, walk in there just like a man would. Pretend you've got that thing,
The male part?
that men have, that women don't, and maybe swing around a little bit. You are amazing. You're one of the smartest people I've ever met. You just need to show people that so that they can see it for themselves. And sadly, you got to act like a man to do that sometimes.
Yeah.
And I did. I got the job. They were like, we've never seen such a confident interviewer. I was like,
So when you interviewed for House of Revenue, you blew everybody away. In fact, there were 3 women in the room. And afterward, as all women do, we all went to the bathroom together. And all 3 of us just said, okay, can we just all be Paralee when we grow up? The interview was flawless. The presentation was flawless. Your outfit was flawless. Like the physical presentation, the verbal delivery, the quality of the presentation, the confidence. I mean, it was one of the absolute best interviews I've ever seen. What was the mental preparation in that moment? Or, before, like, how did you come together to prep for that? Or at that point, were you far enough in your career where you just felt super confident and were like, I can do this. This is already in my DNA.
I don't know. I met you the week before and was so blown away and inspired by the way you capture a room. And I said, I want to be there. Whatever it is, I have never held a sales role myself. Mm-hmm. So applying for a VP of revenue, now Chief Revenue Officer role, made me nervous. I didn't think I could do it, but I had powerful women, you, Rachel Beisel, my mother, and then also my amazing husband say, so what? When have you never not been able to do something when you put your mind to it? Take a look at that presentation, the assignment that you gave me. Do you know how to do all of that stuff? Well, yeah. Well, then own it. And I did.
Yeah, that takes me down another path of questioning here is you're a marketer and you're a great marketer and you've risen the ranks from execution into leadership and strategy on the marketing side. Your roles have played a part in sales enablement and strategy, but you haven't sat in that sales seat, right? Unless you're going to tell me something I don't know today. So you're looking at, when you interviewed with us, hey, this is a VP of revenue position at the time, which was our VP version of our now CRO. Mm-hmm. And you're looking at these sales components. It's also very rare that a marketer lands a CRO role. In fact, I just sat on a training today with a group that shall remain unnamed. It was actually awesome. But in the chat of 175 participants, people started speaking up because the presentation was talking about who is a CRO and it was very heavily sales biased. And these are aspiring CROs in the training, and there were dozens of marketers in there. And I was really proud because they were all speaking up. And they're like, I'm a director of marketing. I'm a VP of marketing. Like, I work in brand strategy. Like, why, help me out here. There's nothing on your definition of a CRO that says you can come up the marketing ranks. Like, what's going on? So you were in that position, staring at this role. What was that conversation like with yourself as far as wanting to go from marketing to holistic revenue?
Well, when I really dug down into it, I found that, no, I've never held that sales seat, but I did always try out the pieces along the way. I never asked a sales team to do something I had never done first.
Whoa.
If I was implementing a new account-based marketing program and I knew it was going to involve cold calling and a different script, I did it myself. I made 100 calls a day. I got shut down. Hate that. It's terrible. That's why I'm not in sales, because I hate it that much. But I knew that I had to perfect it first. And that's how I like to run my role here, is make sure it can be done by me before I ever ask anybody else to do it.
Yeah, that's super powerful. I also feel like it's the best way to learn, because I've had things in marketing. So I came up the sales ranks and I wanted to be a dynamite CRO. And when our business went holistic, it went this path. I had to learn marketing. I have a degree in marketing, but that was years ago.
And so it's so different. It's what you learn in school and what you actually do.
Yeah. Marketing is different than it was 6 months ago. So yes. But on that, I was in a position when team members, actually, Rachel Beisel, we got to tell her, she's been mentioned twice now. Nice. She was our first fractional CMO consultant. And I got schooled by Rachel. She came in on an engagement and I just felt like her agenda for a workshop was written in another language. And after the workshop delivery, I stressed out and had the panic of, how am I supposed to be the CEO of this company that's going holistic? I can't even read or make sense of what any of this is. And her workshop agenda was detailed, but then she added in the notes and outcomes and action steps throughout the agenda and then completed it or throughout the workshop. And then when I saw the finished product, I was so flustered. And I thought, how is this going to happen? So how did we solve for it? We rebuilt our company by adopting HubSpot's inbound methodology and rebuilt our website on HubSpot CMS. We switched from Salesforce to HubSpot CRM and built out marketing and sales CRM. And I was in the thick of it, and it scared me, and it was hard. And I felt like I was learning a foreign language. But as soon as it started clicking, I was kicking myself for not learning it at this level before and realizing how much more powerful we could have been, but grateful that we made the pivot when we did so that we can launch this holistic in 2020. So very different, opposite scenarios, but I don't think I would have learned it just by somebody telling me.
Yeah.
Like I had to do it myself and really dig in to understand it. And I think like the most proud moment was I would always put a disclaimer when I talked about anytime I gave marketing advice, especially in front of our team and in clients, I'd say, I'm not a marketer, but this is what I think. And one of our VPs of marketing pulled me aside one day and she said, you're a marketer. Stop saying you aren't. Your marketing strategy is solid. You understand the execution. Stop saying you're not a marketer. Oh, I just got goosebumps. Talk about like women supporting women, you know, and I looked at her and it was meaningful because she's such a good marketer. I'm like, oh, I did it. I can do this. Like I'm a marketer now. So anyway, on that story, yes, you've done a tremendous job absorbing the sales function. In fact, one of your clients that you kicked off, May, June month, when July,
109 days ago.
109. I should have just asked. Just had the highest month of sales, record breaking in history. Yeah. And this is a company that's been in business for a long time.
Yes.
Really good brand reputation, good clients, good team. Like
fabulous
everything
team.
was good. Yeah. And Paralee, the non-sales CRO, has come in and in 109 days has led holistically to create, along with everyone else, I mean, it's a team effort, but to create a record-breaking sales month. Like, yes, a marketer can be a CRO, so that we're clear.
And my secret sauce to that, I think, is I love the way that I came up through marketing. Before marketing, I was a teacher, just like my parents. And I learned there that when you look at someone and you sort of like the love languages.
Yes.
You speak in their language, they're more likely to be receptive to educational things that you want to give them. And I found that in marketing, in sales enablement, when I have worked in big companies with the whole sales pit, you know, everybody's doing the calls. I'd go sit there at least one day a week and sit in the pit. Yeah. And you know what they would do? Ask me questions. Paralee, do you have a piece of content for this enterprise, blah, 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 blah? Why, yes, I do. And let me show you exactly where it is in the sales enablement folder that I trained you on last week.
Oh, salespeople.
But I truly always believed as a marketer, it's marketing's job to serve sales. Mm-hmm. There's a partnership there. They are on the front lines, and it's your job to enable them every way possible. If it's content, if it's great leads, it's lead scoring, it's scripts, it's emails, it's follow-ups, it's scheduling webinars that qualified leads will go to, and not just scheduling webinars that people will register for. It's huge. It's a partnership, and it has to serve both ways.
Yeah, but in turn, sales needs to serve marketing because sales is getting frontline information from the field, from prospective clients. And if you're not giving that feedback loop back to your marketing team, like please, salespeople or sales leaders, do not sit around and wonder what marketing is doing for you. Please be a partner.
Or expect that your weekly meeting that you have a salesperson sitting in the meeting and listening to your pipeline review, that's not the place for giving feedback to the marketing team. It's too short. That's why I really made sure that I was there, listening to the calls, listening to the sales team talk to each other. Because they're talking to each other and they're saying the things to each other that I need to hear, that my marketing team needs to hear.
Yeah, it's right. So I'm going to take us back in the conversation.
Women.
I need to talk about your pregnancies and working. I'll start with my little short story. I was a salesperson and I had to sleep under my desk in the office. This was 2016. There was not a mother's room or a couch or somewhere in a very large office. I was working for a Fortune 1000 company. There was nowhere. There was no extra place that I could go. And so in the fatigue of pregnancy, and if you haven't been there, it hits you like whoosh, a 2x4.
Awful.
Your body gets numb. It literally just like starts falling asleep on you. You can't really do anything. And if you don't take some time to rest, it's painful and it's so hard to power through it. And this was hard in the first trimester and it was hard in the third trimester. So in the first trimester, also I had some nausea. And of course, as a woman, like you can't even tell people in the first trimester you're pregnant. So how do you, I just kept telling everyone, I'm dealing with some low blood sugar problems. Come on. And I also look like I ate a lot, but you try not to say things. And so I was hiding it. It's hard. Your energy levels are depleted. You may or may not have sickness. And it's just hard. Plus, by the way, when you're pregnant in the first trimester, try getting a hold of your brain and your thoughts. You're like literally planning out the next 18 years of your life. It is so distracting in your child's life.
Right.
And every decision is ever going to happen with this unborn baby and expected to be working full time. So I was known for crawling under my desk and sleeping. It's the only place that I had. And then in the third trimester, I had some poly something, I don't remember what it was called, hydro. So I overproduced amniotic fluid. Praise the Lord, it was not because my baby had a problem, because that's usually a sign that they have like kidney problems or brain problems. Thankfully, it was none of that. But I protruded out like a sideways watermelon and my feet and ankles were very swollen, and it was July and August. So not like a great time to be pregnant. There was no preferred parking spot for women. And this was a large ranch campus, which means there wasn't a parking garage. So and I was in outside sales. So you get there early in the morning, you get good parking. But if you have a sales meeting, you come back, you're parking like a mile away. And I was carrying my bag, my water jug, my lunchbox. I would have back and then at outside sales, I had like a projector and a screen that I'd have to carry out. You had to rent it out because you do demos on site. Yeah, brutal. I'm carrying all this in, 8 and 9 months pregnant, wanting to like murder someone. I was just furious. I'm like, this seriously, it cannot be how we are treating a pregnant woman. Now, the cool part is I finished number 7 in the country that year and didn't work 3 months out of that year. And really in the last month, I don't think I worked more than 10 hours a week, but I pre-sold my quota because I knew I was pregnant. Yeah. So I was able to manage it. What role were you in for the first kid? And how did you manage this inside of your company? Like what leniency did you get? Like how was it different, if any, for the second?
It was wild. I was working for a large university system, actually, when I was first pregnant. And I did not qualify for the regular maternity leave policy because we were sort of like a shoot off.
Oh no.
I built this beautiful deck. I presented it to the CEO and I said, this is what I need. And he was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. Sorry. Fortunately, I got this offer to do the interview at the marketing software company.
Wait, while you were pregnant?
I was 4.5 months pregnant when I interviewed for that job.
Oh my gosh.
So I walk in looking like I'd eaten the most giant burrito you've ever seen. But I wore very strategic clothing because it's hard. I mean, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
I was nervous to apply for a job because I happened to be pregnant.
Yeah.
Ridiculous that even has to go through a woman's brain. But I nailed it. I got the job. And I was supposed to report directly to the CEO, who I love to this day. He's an amazing person, crazy man, so full of ideas. And I was super excited to work for him, very visionary. They pivoted right before I started and said, well, actually, we're going to appoint our sales coach as an interim VP of marketing for you to work under. And I was like, oh, no.
Okay, that in itself makes absolutely no sense. Please continue.
Well, she, to this day, is one of my fagefavorite mentors.
Oh, good. Okay, maybe it made sense.
However, nope, not a great VP of marketing.
Okay.
I did the job for both of us.
Oh, geez.
And, but she was amazing. She was like, yeah, I just sit here. Paralee's doing all of this work. But she was so great during presentations when I was clearly getting bigger and bigger. She was like, see, everybody, I told you we got 2 for 1 with Paralee. Oh. She was vocal in front of the entire company about how powerful pregnant women are.
Makes me want to cry.
What a gift, right? She was stressful to work for at times because she didn't have a lot of foundational marketing knowledge. But she gave me so much belief in me, powerful, pregnant woman, not me happens to be pregnant. Let's pretend like I'm not pregnant woman in the workforce. Love her for that.
It's incredible. More of that, please. I feel like pregnancy is treated like a disability and a disadvantage.
And sometimes it is. You're taking naps under your desk. Sometimes you need accommodations, but women shouldn't be scared to ask for them.
Yeah, and
I'm growing a human.
I should separate disability from disadvantage. I think when I was saying disability, it was more like people see it as weakness.
Yes.
And therefore, fill in the blank. Oh, well, we can't give that project to her because, she's expecting. Or, oh, I would be careful with that one because, she's got like a lot going on right now. Like it's seen as a weakness. And granted, now, if it's rightfully so, if it truly is a very difficult pregnancy, then yeah, give the woman some accommodations. Like it is so freaking hard to be pregnant. One, I loved it. It's just so we're clear. I think like most women loved the second trimester. I really loved the third until things got out of control on the watermelon belly growth. But
I loved the third. I got all the seats on the bus. I'd like walk around leading with my belly. Like, yes, that's right. Accommodate me, please. I just like being the center of attention.
That is just amazing that you were enabled to feel empowered in that.
It's thanks to, and I think this is the theme for me around women in leadership, is that when women reach out to other women and lift them up, it can make a huge difference. Huge. And even more so when men reach out and lift women up. Because we're doubly not expecting to be lifted up by men in the workplace.
No.
We're expected to act like men, pretend like we're not a woman, to make sure that things get done or that we're heard.
Yeah, like a CEO that tears up in a team meeting. Like maybe I did that yesterday. There's just something to admit of what my DNA is. I can't remove the fact that I'm a woman. I can't remove the fact that I care. I can't remove the fact that I'm wired and built differently than the men on this team. But I will tell you, like we had an amazing meeting yesterday and we covered some really challenging topics, which great leaders do. And there was a moment in that meeting when the emotion became overwhelming for like a split second. But it was cool because we have 3 dudes that were in full support in that meeting.
Yeah.
And full support, acknowledgement, empathetic. Like I actually felt in that moment with you, me, and 3 men on this leadership team that we were fighting as one.
Yes.
And that was super special because you don't usually have that. It's not a bash against men. We are built differently.
Absolutely.
So there's an empathetic and compassionate component, a very caring, motherly component of women that is not in men's DNA. It's just they don't have that. So we can't expect people to give what they don't have. However, through awareness and maturity, I think that men can really open themselves up in that awareness point of this woman needs some compassion right now and support, and she needs to see the support so that it's physical, like we are here. And so it's so cool when we have men aligned on that as well. I'm glad that you've had that support, and I have it too. And I know we haven't always had it, but it's beautiful that we are at a place where we can embrace. I mean, we have more women here than men, and which is just take it for what it is. It's just how it is. And I think we have an unbelievable blend of personality and diversity and are able to approach our leadership perspective. And I think it's great because we have a lot of younger women working here that can see it being modeled. I know we're grateful we had it modeled for us. Dude, I got to meet your mom.
She's amazing.
Can we bring her on the show?
She raises golden doodles professionally now. She, after retiring from teaching, after teaching 40 years, she couldn't not work. So she was like, you know what I'll do? I'll enter one of the most competitive markets in the United States.
Oh my gosh.
And have a business.
Go for it, mama. All right. So on that note, we're going to sign off for today. Yes, Paralee, we're going to make you come back. Thank you for being a guest, but not really a guest because it's like we all own this radio show.
Thank you for inviting me into the booth. I have been looking forward to it.
Woohoo. All right. Until next time.